I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with a 3-minute cattle market update for Friday, September the 9th. And boys, this cattle market been tough. Been going down for a good year and a half now, but we've had several wrecks along the way and some little rallies in there too, but this is by far the worst wreck and really taking cattle back down to where they were for a long time before we saw these tighter numbers, which, you know, if you look back and see why the record markets came, we just systematically for several years in a row there had big droughts in every major production area that we have commercial cattle. You know, it was in the mountain region there one year. It was in Texas one year. It was in the southeast there one year. It was in the Midwest, even in Nebraska and places like that one year. And everybody just culled and cleaned their cow herd slick, and just holding on to what they could barely keep on their place. And it just cut our production down so low, as low numbers as we had, you know, way back in the early 1950s, and we got way over twice as many people living in the United States now, let alone the world. And it just inflated these numbers because our supplies were so low. Well, we don't have a supply problem anymore. We're getting it back down there, and I don't know what we're waiting for. This market's not going to come back anytime soon. It's sure not going back to where we've been the last 2 or 3 years. That we're going back down to where we were and probably going to stay there. We got nothing to wait for anymore to turn this market around. You know, what are we waiting for? Like on the feeder cattle, to get these feeder cattle to spark? Are we waiting for feed to get cheap? Feed's about as cheap as we're going to see it. But we've really gotten it down there, and wait till harvest gets here and we see how big this record crop's going to be. It's going to be even cheaper on your feed. Cash, new crop on your corn's going to be way down there in the 2s. Are we waiting for money to be cheap? You know, they can't cut this interest any more than what it's already been cut, so we can't do that. What are we looking for on our fat cattle? We're looking for the packers to ramp up kills. We've been killing over 600,000 here for weeks and weeks and weeks, which we haven't done that for a long time. That's probably about as many cattle as we can kill, because we cut back on so much kill space in the last several years here. So you can't look for that to get too much bigger. But we don't have a shortage of cattle right now, and we're just getting back down there. Going to drop below $1 on fat cattle here very shortly. If you look at the live cattle futures for October, Wednesday was up $2.40, a little jump right there, but cash doesn't turn around on a dime. You can do that on the board, but the board is not really the market. You know, I talked to some people this morning or on Thursday morning or Wednesday late. Oh, that market's finally turning around. A little skip like that doesn't have anything to do with cash. But Wednesday, your October fats were up $2.40. Of course, you didn't see anything, no wiggle on your cash there, because it gets to moving one way, it's hard to turn back around. Thursday was back down a little over $1 to end the day Thursday at 101.40. Look at your feeder cattle for September. Wednesday was up $2.65. But Thursday come back down $1.55 to end the day on Thursday at 131.60. Look at your your CME feeder cattle index is still hanging up there at 138.15. Your real-time index on Cattle Market Central is a whole lot more believable with what's going on. It's sitting at 133.21, put together the same way with automated information. Market reporters are downgrading these cattle because they can't believe how cheap they are, and it's going to take them a while to get used to it before they start putting them all back in the pool. Fat cattle are down hard. Started having some trade on Wednesday a little bit at 106 live and 170 dressed with that little skip in the board there. But then on Thursday, reality set back in again, and the bulk of the trade, your live fat's going to be around 105. That's $5 lower than last week. Had a few at 104 even. Your dress cattle 166, that's $8 lower than last week's lower market. Your actual live weights come out on Thursday, 896 pounds. That's still 3 pounds bigger than the previous week. We may be current, but we haven't got through these glut of cattle. We expect that the supplies are going to get a little bit tighter on market ready cattle here over the next several weeks. Look at cash feeder cattle markets. El Reno, Oklahoma, feeder cattle $3 to $6 lower. Calves $6 to $10 lower. You're getting into a big disparity right now with your guys that are close enough to get into that farmer feeder demand up in the Midwest. Look at St. Joe Stockyards on Customer Appreciation Day. Wednesday there, had a load of steers at 11:40 in the morning. They weighed 773 at 150.10. That is way over what any of your board is on feeder cattle or your index or anything like that. Look at the same time in El Reno, Oklahoma, just about an hour before that, had a load of steer calves, called calves. You know, they're a little bit fleshy, a little bit younger. They're still cattle, but they're not going to feed as good as those green yearlings up in St. Joe, and you don't have all that demand from your farmer feeders. But you had a load of steers there at El Reno, weighed 724, bring a $1.25. Now something's wrong. Those ones up north are either too high or the ones in the southern plains are too cheap. But you know, I was in a market here on Thursday down in Tulia, Texas, right in the middle of all these commercial feedlots, and I seen a pretty good jag. Yearlings weighing 760 something there at a $1.25. That's a lot closer to what the market is. But get on cattlemarketcentral.com. Log on there and see this automated market report. You can see that come up, and you can also get a feeder flash, which is something new we started putting out there that gives you an up-to-date deal late in the morning there that tells you up to the minute, up to just a few minutes of what your board is, what your real-time index is, what the spread is on those, what the last 25 sales, big sales have been in the auctions, and kind of gives you a rundown of what cattle are bringing right then. But that's a very valuable thing you can look at while you're riding through your cattle, driving your tractor, sitting in the sale, or laying on the couch. That's 3 minutes, and we'll talk to you next week.